evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are watching from, and welcome to the brand new GTPlanet League. Myself, Chris McCarthy, and Andrew Mather are here to call you through the action. A fantastic new concept, a fantastic new championship, and we've got the best drivers on Gran Turismo going head-to-head for us this evening and for the forthcoming weeks. And to talk you through all the action, as I said, is myself, Chris McCarthy, and Andrew Mather. Hello, Andrew.
Evening, Chris. Fantastic to be back here on GTPlanet. It's been a while since we last did one of these streams back in the GTPlanet Endurance Series days. Really excited for this tonight. As you say, a completely new concept that I don't think anyone's really done before, this team-based points race system. We've got 4 fantastic teams here this evening who are going to entertain us a lot over the next hour and a half or so. And yeah, really looking forward to what should be some fantastic racing on Gran Turismo Sport this evening.
Well, I'm sure you're all excited to know what exactly is coming up this evening and for the next few weeks. So let's get straight into it. Let's talk you through a little bit about what the GTPlanet League is all about and how it works. And to start us off, I'll hand straight over to Andrew.
So yes, this is the new format then for the GTPlanet League. Let's talk first about how races work. So we'll always have 2 teams of 4 drivers competing head-to-head in each race. Each race position at the checkered flag is worth 1 point. So if you win the race, you get 8 points for your team. Second, 7 points. Third, 6. You get the picture down to 8th place, receiving 1 point. Not just important though to win the race, but as a team to accumulate those points. So if your 4 team members get more points than the other 4 team members, that team will win the race. So that will basically count as 1 race win before to winning in the match. Things to know, of course, spec racing, all the players are driving in the same car, so it's all about the driver. No tyre wear or fuel consumption. And interestingly, Chris, the drivers are not informed of the track ahead of time. So no practice, no tuning yourself into a circuit before in the weekend before. You've got to be ready to go and hit those fast lap times pretty much cold as they go into the qualifying sessions.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things I like the most about this. Well, there you can see how the races work. Now, let's go into how the matches work, because they are matches rather than just straight races. So you're going to have 2 matches coming up this evening. Each of those matches is going to consist of 3 races. Teams must win 2 of the 3 races to win the match. So we may have 2 races per match, or we may have 3. So a potential 6 races coming up for you this evening. For race 1, the grid order will be determined by a qualifying time, which is going on right now. Race 2 will be the reverse of race 1, and then we'll reverse the grid once again if we do go into a race 3. So if you win race 2, you'll be at the back again for race 3. So it's a fantastic concept. It lends itself to teamwork, but let's see, of course, how much teamwork goes on. If you're in a race, these are the best guys in the world. They want to go and win it, but at the same time, they do have to think about that at the same time. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And here is a look at how the season will work, Andrew.
Absolutely. So the next 3 Sundays, we always race at 6 p.m. UTC. Wherever you are in the world. So the next 3 weeks we'll see a round robin competition between our teams who will be looking to qualify for phase 2 on October the 13th, when we'll go into knockout tournament mode before a championship match on October 20th to decide who are the new champions, the first champions of this new GTPlanet League. And you can, of course, always subscribe and turn on your notifications so you never miss a match. But it's easy to remember, right? Sunday, 6 p.m. UTC. We'll always be racing that over the next few weeks.
We will indeed. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, get those notifications on, and you'll be alerted as soon as we are about to go live every single week. Well, let's introduce our teams. And if you do follow the Gran Turismo World Tour, you're going to recognize a lot of faces here. We've got some big names in this one, big teams as well. Williams Esports, the first team we have this evening. Adam Saswillo, of course, big name, always up there in the FIA Championship. Diogo Pontis. We've got Carlos Salazar as well. He was a finalist at the Gran Turismo World Tour in Paris last year. And the driver who won the first ever Gran Turismo World Tour was, of course, Giorgio Mangano, won the Nations Cup back in Nürburgring 2018. Williams will be our first team, and they will be facing, Andrew, got another big team coming up that they will go up against, Thrustmaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Team Thrustmaster, great to have them on board here in the GTPlanet League. Let's have a look at their lineup for tonight. An all-Americas affair with 2 drivers from Chile, 1 from Brazil and 1 from the United States. Angel Inostroza, great to have him here, the informatics engineering student. He's racing for Thrustmaster tonight. Alongside Adriano Carrazza from Brazil, another regular and very experienced driver. Started playing GT at 10 years old. Nico Rubelar and Randall Haywood driving for them as well tonight. And looks like we are just about set, Chris, for the first race of the night.
Yes, we are. Thrustmaster took pole. We're going to be at Blue Moon Speedway infield in the Porsche Cayman, the Group 4 cars. Everyone is in the same car. This is the track. Let's go racing. This the first of potentially 3 races here, and it's going to be Thrustmaster that lead us away with Nico Rubelar. We've got Giorgio Mangano there in second place as we go in towards turn number 1. Of course, it's a banked corner coming back onto the infield. Very tricky to get the braking right, and then you go back onto the loop once again as we now head down towards turn number 2. Nico Rubelar at the moment doing a good job, but we've got 10 laps of this, and of course don't forget we have to keep an eye on those points. At the moment Nico Rubelar will be scoring a good amount of points for his team, but it's down to his teammates to do the same work as well. So you can see the Thrustmaster livery, it's the black and red livery, and then we've got that classic Williams livery as well. So that's how you know who is in what team, in case you forget. But it's Nico Rubelar who's going to lead us round for the first time, doing a great job out front, but heavy hitters in this, as we said, and lining up just behind is Giorgio Mangano. To the bottom left of your picture you will be able to see the live points. So although Nico Rubelar is leading for Thrustmaster at the moment, his teammates need to help him out a bit, because overall Williams are in a position to go 1-0 up here as we complete lap number 1.
Yeah, it looks like it's been very close in qualifying. No position changes at the end of lap 1, but at the moment, I'm looking at these points, Chris, the key positions, 5th and 6th. You've got Adam Sassuolo there in 5th place, and Diogo Pontes there in 6th place. They're at the moment doing the job in keeping the 2 drivers from Thrustmaster, so it's going to be Angel Inostroza and who else have we got in there? I think it's Adriano Carrazza, who maybe they're looking to move up the field a little bit at this stage of the race. And in fact, I think Carrazza has made a move out there on Pontes for 6th place.
Yes, it looks like he has, so we'll get those live points updated once again. But Carrazza, that could be a key move, and Nico Rubelar won't really know what's going on. He'll just know he has to concentrate on taking the win. But there you can see the live points have updated, so we are tied on points. So it will go down to the fastest lap, which currently lies with Nico Rubelar. So at the moment, Thrustmaster would win, would go 1-0 up in this match due to them having the fastest lap, but the live points are changing once again. There's been some changes, and Williams now go back ahead, but Nico, it is still leading the way. We go on board with Adam Sassuolo, and you can see ahead the Thrustmasters driver there just trying to get into 3rd place as we come off the banking. Oh, a little bit out of shape was Adam Sassuolo, and the 2 drivers ahead as well, and we go side by side for 3rd place, and that's going to make a big change to the points, Andrew, as Thrustmaster get themselves into 3rd place.
Yeah, Randall Haywood making the move there, really good move over what is a very tricky part of the circuit. And there's an interesting ploy there. Adam Sassuolo is overtaking his teammates, Carlos Salazar, so that's Sassuolo up to 4th place. Oh, and look at that, it looks like Carrazza again on the move for Thrustmaster. Sassuolo now up the inside of Haywood. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. So Sassuolo there has gone up, what's that, 2 positions in a matter of half a lap. This is great work from the GT Academy finalist in 2013.
Yes, it is, and Adam Sassuolo there you can see now into 3rd place as we come around the final corner. We're going to go on to lap number 3 now, and it's getting close for the lead, isn't it? You can see Giorgio Mangano is closing in on Nico Rubelar at the moment. So let's focus on this one for a bit, because this would be very, very good stuff for Williams. If they can get into the lead with Giorgio Mangano, they would extend their points advantage, and it's all going to be down to the Thrustmaster drivers lower down the field, the likes of Inostroza, Carrazza and Randall Hollywood as well, to try and make some places. Of course, Hollywood having lost that 3rd place to Adam Sassuolo, that's caused a change in the points. So Thrustmaster with a little bit of work to do here, but we've got a fantastic battle out front with two of the most successful drivers in terms of the FIA races in Nico Rublar and Giorgio Mangano, putting on a great show out front. But Giorgio Mangano just taking his time with this one, Andrew, just being patient, doesn't want to do anything too silly, wants to get himself in the lead at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. I like these tactics from Giorgio Mangano. He knows the situation. He can see the gap back to Adam Siswilla there in third place. He knows his team are in a good position. In a way, he's trying to isolate Nico Rubler, I reckon, at this stage of the race. No point fighting as we complete lap number 4 out of 10, because this could be the crucial move if it's coming down to the last couple of laps, and if Giorgio Mangano can get this move done on Nico Rubler, that could give them the win. Meanwhile, it's all going on behind as they go into turn 1. I think that's Randall Hayward trying to go around the outside of Anders Swillow again, and always a little bit of contact as they come back up onto the bank. They're very close. Look at this, 2x2 into turn 2, and always Hayward out on the grass. He just about saves it. They're still side by side, but crucially, there's another one of the Williams drivers pulling through. Oh, there's a spinner in the background as well. So it's all kicking off here in the midfield as the two teams try and sort themselves out. But at the moment, Chris, looks like Williams start to take the lead in this one and take this race by force.
Yes, they are. They're starting to move up the order now, aren't they? Adam Swillow, we can see we're focusing on him in third place at the moment. Salazar there in fourth, but Salazar is wide, and Hollywood's going to come down the inside there and go into fourth place. Hits the barriers as he goes on the outside of the corner. That's going to allow Salazar to come back through. Behind that, we've got Inestroza, the Thrustmaster driver, in sixth place, trying to close in at the moment as they make their way down towards turn number one more time. It's still Nico Rublar leading the way, and him in the lead is giving his teammates a good chance at trying to make some positions in the midfield, which will take the win. And this is the fantastic thing about this format. Although we've got Nico Rublar in the lead, because his teammates aren't able to make positions in the midfield, they are not winning at the moment. So Williams doing a fantastic job. You don't have to win the race as a team to win the first match. And Adam Siswillow, bit wide there out of the right hander, got on the grass and a little bit out of shape, and it's all kicking off now for fourth and fifth place. Hollywood under a lot of pressure, and I think he's got one of the Thrustmaster drivers down the inside, is he? In fact, that's the Williams driver, isn't it? Of course, of Carlos Salazar. Carlos Salazar there, PCM, just trying to get the switch back on Hollywood now. Can't quite get the run, so tucks back in. We are on board with Inestroza as they come through the left-hander onto the banking and then onto the start-finish straight one more time. We're into the second half of the race, Andrew. It's Williams who still lead this one in the points at the moment.
Yeah, but it's so tight here in the midfield. I think Siswillow is trying to break away from this group because you never know what might happen with the front two if they start fighting the last couple of laps. But we're almost 3 wide here as it looks like Randall Hayward is trying to get around the outside of Adam Siswillow. That would be a remarkable move if he's able to complete that one. Still these two side by side into the braking zone of turn 2, down to fourth, maybe third gear. And it looks like Diogo Pontes is trying to get involved as well. We're still involved here with Angel Enestroza, and this is fantastic racing here at Blue Moon Bay. And I think another one of the Williams drivers is trying to get involved. That's Diego Pontes up the inside, 3 wide into the hairpin. And, well, makes sense of this one, Chris, because this could finish in any kind of order over the next 3 laps or so.
Inestroza was basically forced off the circuit there and into the barriers. Won't be very happy with that one. Just ahead of him is Diego Pontes there in 7th place. So Thrustmaster now at the back of the field as well as being at the front of the field. And as you can see on the live points, that means Williams will go 1-0 up at this stage. But being in 8th place, Inestroza would go to pole position for the next race, which Thrustmaster would have to win in points to go 1-0 and take it into a decider. But Giorgio Mangano knows this. He's just sitting behind Nico Rublar at the moment. There's no real need for him to overtake. He's probably lining this up for a last lap shootout. They're just building a gap, these two, at the moment, and then they will sort it out. But behind, Adam Siswillow is third. Then we've got Randall Hollywood there in 4th place. 5th place at the moment is Carlos Salazar. Then we've got Carazza in 6th place. And behind that Here's Diego Pontis before we go to Inestrosa at the back of the field. So they come now down through the left-hander, Nico Rubelar, round the final corner and onto the start-finish straight. He's under a lot of pressure here from Mangano, but Andrew, this probably isn't the battle that's going to see the match tied up. It's probably going to be in the midfield where we see Thrustmaster take the win overall.
Yeah, and at the moment Williams are just controlling it again with 2 laps to go now. Adam Siswillo there still ahead of Randall Hayward. They seem to be battling throughout the whole race. And coming off this banking, it's a really tricky braking zone because you're coming off the banking onto the flat, more like a proper road course surface. I know that it was one of the circuits involved in the exhibition series. I think it was on Nations Cup last night. Had a little go at it, and it was a very, very tricky braking zone to get right. I mean, that's me speaking as a far less talented player than the folks that we've got on show here. But as we're going into the last lap and a half now, Adam Siswillo, using all of that experience that he's got, has been playing Gran Turismo for a very long time, has had a good amount of success over the years. He's the kingpin for me at the moment, Chris. He's just got to keep himself in that position because he knows the guys behind are supporting him, but he also, crucially, that his teammate Giorgio Mangano still has the chance, if necessary, of making that move on Nico Rubelar to take this first race in this first match in this new GTPlanet League.
There you can see Randall Hayward just trying to close in on Adam Siswillo there in 4th place. Needs to get by now. We're getting towards the end of this race, and Thrustmaster have to do something about Williams. This the crucial battle from 3rd back to 6th. We've got Carazza and Hayward there, 4th and 6th respectively. They need to get by Adam Siswillo and Carlos Salazar to put themselves 1-0 up here at race number 1. Of course, it's going to be interesting in race 2 when we put Nico Rubelar and Giorgio Mangano at the back. So final lap, final chance this for Randall Hayward there in 4th place to try and get past Adam Siswillo and change the points around here as they go down into the right-hand hairpin for the final time. Hayward's now having to defend. This is not a good situation at all. Salazar's coming onto the grass. This put Carazza now trying to get into 5th place there as they go for the switchback. Carazza, is he able to draw alongside? He isn't. Then you can see Adam Siswillo. He is going to be in 3rd place. Out front, Nico Rubelar for Thrustmaster may win the race, but it's going to be Williams who go 1-0 up. Rubelar takes the flag. He wins. Mangano will be 2nd. That's as close as it was. Mangano, no need for him to overtake, as Williams will take this one by 19 points to 8. So a fantastic result there. We'll confirm the results for you in this first race, and it's going to be 1-0 to Williams. So Nico Rubelar taking the win, Giorgio Mangano 2nd, Adam Siswillo was 3rd, then it was Randall Hayward in 4th place. 5th place was Carlos Salazar, then it was Adriano Carazza, then we had Angel Inestrosa next along, and rounding out the field was Diego Pontis. 1-0 Williams, Andrew.
Yeah, really, really close stuff between both teams there. And I should check the points. I think that might have been decided by the fastest lap. We'll confirm that in a moment. So yeah, just had that confirmed. So the fastest lap by Giorgio Mangano. That was a key aspect in that race in the end, that he took the tiebreaker. But yeah, it just shows how close and how intriguing this system is, and especially now as we go into race 2 where we'll have the reverse grid. It will be Pontes on pole position alongside Inestrosa, and this will be, can you see Mangano and Rubelar, can they pull through, can they take the points? I think we're in for a very, very close match here. I wouldn't be surprised if Thrustmaster make it 1-1 here in race 2.
Well, we will wait and find out. We're going to go straight into race 2. So Giorgio Mangano, you can see, sat in 2nd there, had the toe, got the fastest lap, and that proved to be crucial at the end. So it's going to be a reverse grid. Thrustmaster have to win this one now to take us into a 3rd race tiebreaker. It's going to be a fantastic race, that's for sure. They have to do it. Thrustmaster, to talk you through the start, I'm going to hand over to Andrew Mather.
Cheers, Chris. We do seem to have got a bit of a problem because there's only 3 cars on the circuit at the moment.
Yes, we do. So whilst we have that going on, let's reflect more on that first race, shall we, Andrew? That's for the viewers who are tuning in. If you're with us, thank you for tuning in. That was our first real look at the format. Fantastic format as well, because you can see Mangano stayed in second, got the fastest lap because he had the toe. That proved to be crucial at the end. I think he knew if he had to have taken the lead, then he would have been in a position to do so on the final lap anyway. But I think it was brave of him to actually stay in second place all the way to the flag.
Absolutely. And the other bit that I really like is that it gives every single team member, they're all playing a key part, so that, okay, you may not be at the front of the field, but though, you know, those guys fighting from fifth downwards, we had the battle between Haywood and Siswilla for third and fourth. That kind of nullified what was going on at the first two, but that race was really all about fifth through eighth to see who could take the better positions in that. In the end, it was a tie between the second pair of drivers, and as you say, came down to that fastest lap from Mangano, who played that tactically very, very well. Didn't take too many risks. You don't need to at this stage. As we say, we've got it's a best of three match, but that will play on the mind, I think, of both teams as to how they play this next race, because to an extent, you know, you're going to see those faster drivers, or we may see those faster drivers. You never know. We could see the drivers who are on pole position hold themselves up at the front of the field, but how that changes the dynamic, as we assume we'll see Mangano and Rublar coming through the field. Will their teammates try and help them to get through the field quickly? It's, again, very intriguing, and we don't know because we've not done this format before. Very intriguing to see how the teams will play the tactics as we go into race two.
Well, of course, Mangano finishing in seventh place puts himself just that little bit closer to be able to get forward to the front as quickly as possible. So this is match one. This is race two. We're on Blue Moon as ever. We've got the Porsche Cayman Group 4 cars. It's 1-0 to Williams. Thrustmaster have to win this one. Andrew, I'll hand over to you for the start.
Absolutely. So there is your grid then, reverse grid of the result from race number one. Diego Pontes there from Portugal, Portugal's highest ranked GT Sport racer. He will have the job of leading us away on another 10-lap race, race number two. If Williams win this race as a team, they've won the match and will become the first match winners in this new GTPlanet League. Do keep your comments coming in on the YouTube stream. Away we go then. Green light. Good start from Diego Pontes as it's a single file start into turn one on lap one. Angel Inestrosa there in second place. He'll be looking for a better result in this heat. A bit bullied out of the way in the first race. Could have finished up in top five. In the end, finished in seventh place. But even start this so far, Chris. Good start there from Diego Pontes. He leads early here on lap one.
Yeah, Pontes, good stuff at the moment. You can see the Thrustmaster drivers are queuing up at the moment in Inestrosa and Adriano Carazza as well. All they have to do now is try and work together here to get past our leader, Diego Pontes. Then we go back to fourth place. That's where we find our second of the Williams drivers, which is Carlos Salazar, the Portuguese driver. Randall Haywood, the American, there in fifth place at the moment. Then we have Adam Siswillo, Giorgio Mangano, and our winner in the previous race, of course, is Nico Rublar. So we'll see how those two can get on from the back. Giorgio Mangano, I wonder if Adam Siswillo will just let him by here, put him into sixth place and let him go after the rest of the field, go after Randall Haywood, who currently sits in fifth place at the moment. We'll see if that plays out, but at the moment, holding the ship out front for Williams is our leader, Diego Pontes. As you can see, our live points at the moment, they are tied on points, so it would be down to who can get the fastest lap. And with Giorgio Mangano in seventh, sat in behind Adam Siswillo, he might be able to get a nice tow and once again take the fastest lap of the race. So we will see, but of course, Andrew, there is a long way to go in this one. This is only lap number 2 of 10.
Yeah, this one just simmering away at the moment. No one's made any big moves as of yet. And Pontes is doing a good job here. He's soaking up a lot of pressure. And this will be a pressure-filled situation. Everything on the line at the moment for his team. A chance to take a 2-0 lead, an unassailable 2-0 lead. And he's doing a fantastic job here for me, Chris. Just controlling it, nice and calm, not too scruffy. keeping those guys behind him. Be interesting to see though what the lap time's like at the end of this second lap. So the first full racing lap we've had, we saw 1 minute 10s in race number 1. Across start finish will go any second now. There we go, and straight away it looks like Adam Siswillo is the fastest driver out there at the moment with a 1:11.046. But now Diego Pontes coming under a lot of pressure, Chris, from the 2 Thrustmaster drivers behind.
Yes, he is indeed. One of them's going to have to make a move. Adriano Cadazza there in third place is just waiting for Inestrosa to make a move, and let's go on board then with Cadazza. Through the right we go. Major overtaking, perhaps the best overtaking opportunity coming up now. Inestrosa up ahead. Is he going to have a look down the inside of Diego Pontes? Not at the moment as they come. Oh, and a bit of contact there. I think Pontes just getting his braking a little bit wrong. Slowed down more than Inestrosa had anticipated, and that caused a little bit of a knock-on effect with Cadazza then having nowhere to go but into the back of Inestrosa. But no real damage done. We still remain as you were as they now come onto the banking behind, of course, things very close as well. But this, our main battle out front. We've got the Thrustmaster drivers of Cadazza, who we are on board with in third, Inestrosa in second. They need to make their way into the league. They need to get past Pontes. They need to level this one up 1-all. In terms of Mangano and Nico Rubelar, though, Andrew, no real progress made yet. Oh, but here is this Cadazza now going to go past Inestrosa? It is. Inestrosa's going to make it very easy for him. He's going to say, right, you have a go at Pontes. You see if you can get us into the lead.
Yeah, I think that's the wise move at this stage of the race. There's more overtaking going on behind. I think Haywood's trying to make a move on Salazar. But yeah, you've got to give Cadazza a go now. He looks like he's got a little bit more pace at the moment than Inestrosa. In fact, where has Inestrosa gone? Has Inestrosa fallen? Inestrosa's falling all the way down to the bottom of the order now. So not a good race again for Angel Inestrosa from Chile. Get you the live point update as soon as possible. It's still Diego Pontes, who had that moment through the hairpin, was a little bit wide, got it locked down though. Still leading here as they come round to finish lap number 4.
Yes, across the line we go, and there you can see the points. At the moment, Williams doing the business. So Cadazza now, a lot of pressure going on to his shoulders. He needs to get into the lead, and he's going to go for it. Is he in towards turn number 1? He dives back to the outside, trying to get into the lead is Cadazza. They're going to be side by side, the two leaders then. This is Pontes versus Cadazza, the Portuguese driver versus the Brazilian. Cadazza, has he got the run into the left-hander? Let's have a look. They're going to be side by side. Cadazza's going to run him out wide, and he's through. So Cadazza is through. Pontes is going to drop down to third place there with Salazar going into second, but only briefly because Salazar runs on the grass. This is not what we're expecting, Andrew. The Williams teammates should be working together here, and here comes Randall Haywood. He dives down the inside of the pair of them. Fantastic move from the American, and Haywood is into second. This is brilliant stuff from the Thrustmaster drivers now, whilst the Williams drivers are tripping over each other, trying to decide who's going to do the leading. Haywood's just come up to second.
Absolutely fantastic from both of the Thrustmaster drivers, in particular Randall Haywood. He saw the opportunity, he took the chance, and that could be a crucial move in the context of this race as we're past the halfway point now. As I say, Adriano Cadazza, the world finalist in the Nations Cup in 2018, he leads here at Blue Moon Bay. Now, interestingly, what will they do now, the Thrustmaster drivers? Because there could be an argument if Randall Haywood continues to close into the back of his teammate. Will they make the switch? Will they allow Randall Haywood to get down the road and guarantee at least 8 points for the Thrustmaster team?
Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it? Well, let's have a look at a replay before we do. So this is Haywood's move. You can see they're tripping over each other, the two Williams drivers, and Haywood just sends it down the inside of the pair of them. I don't know if that was a case of him getting his braking wrong and forced himself into that move, or if he had it planned all along. But either way, he's into second. It was a clean move, and Haywood absolutely flying as he now catches teammate Adriano Cadazza. And as you said, I wonder if Cadazza's going to let him through, because either way, whoever finishes first first and second, they still take the same amount of points as a team. So it doesn't really matter who does that. Now, here's the question though, Andrew. If Karatsa does drop back into second, does he then start to defend and try and cause a little bit more of a queue while Hayward goes off and takes the win? At the moment, this is good enough for Thrustmaster to take the match and level it up 1-1 and go into a race 3 decider. So it's down to the Williams drivers, who are 3rd, 4th and 5th at the moment. We've got Pontus, Mangano and Salazar in that order, 3rd, 4th and 5th at the moment, and they've got a gap to close down to the top 2, who are about 1 second up the road.
Yeah, and there's another interesting aspect here that we're looking at the 3 Williams drivers coming out of the fast right-hander. Giorgio Mangano is up to 4th place. He's come from 7th. Do you swap them? Do you switch them? Do you move Mangano up to 3rd place? Because on the basis that he was the fastest lap holder in the last race, he's probably got the pace to at least challenge the first 2 runners on the circuit. They've only got 3 laps to go though. I'd make the move now, Lyle Williams, to put Mangano up there into 3rd place so he can attack the top 2 going into the latter stages of the second race of the match.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Pontus moves aside here and allows Mangano to go through, because this isn't about individual driver, it's about team, it's about scoring points, and you have to get more points than the other team to take a match and level it up. So at the moment it is 1-0 to Williams in this match. If Thrustmaster win this match, then it goes 1-1 and we go into a decider. So this race has to be won by Thrustmaster in points, and there you can see the points is 19 to 17 in Thrustmaster's favour at the moment, and that will bring us 1-1 in this first match of our GTPlanet League. So down to the hairpin we go. A little bit further back, this is Adam Saswillo, and this is another key battle with Nico Rubelar. If he can get past Nico Rubelar, that's going to swing the points and level it up, and then we'd go to the fastest lap, which is with Giorgio Mangano at the moment. So Nico Rubelar, Andrew, in a very, very sticky situation here, because he has to hold off Adam Saswillo, who we are on board with at the moment, to make this 1-1 and take us into a decider.
If I'm Nico Rubelar, I go with the old Colin McRae adage, if in doubt, flat out, because on the other side, yes, he's got to defend from Saswillo, but if he can make a move past Salazar in front of him, he further extends Thrustmaster's lead. I think that's the thought that will be going through his mind at the moment. Interestingly though, the switch hasn't been done, but the 3 Williams drivers, 3rd, 4th, 5th, worked together very, very nicely the last couple of laps. And in fact, now they have made the switch. They have made the switch now. Giorgio Mangano up to 3rd. Does look like he's closing in bit by bit on the rear bumper of Randall Hayward, but have they left themselves enough time? Side by side.
Now Saswillo's alongside.
And Saswillo is through.
Well, that's surely going to level up the points, and then it's going to take us into the fastest lap, which Nico Rubelar has just set. So a fantastic lap there from Rubelar. He set the fastest lap of the race, and if we are tied on points, then they would win this race, Thrustmaster, and we would level up the match and take us into a decider. So through the final corner, the live points will be updated on the bottom left of your screen, and there you can see, in fact, no, Williams are now ahead. Williams are tied. Yes, they are. Sorry, they are tied. So it's going to go to the fastest lap as we go on to the final lap of this race. If it stays exactly as it is, then we're going to go 1-1 in this first match, and we will go into a deciding race where the grid will once again be reversed, and Thrustmaster drivers will be 7th and 8th on the grid with Karatsa and Hayward, who we can see now. But this can all change. Giorgio Mangano, Andrew, has caught the top 2. If he can get past Hayward, then Williams win this match 2-0.
Well, it's all in his hands again, like it was in race number 1 when he had the fastest lap and knew he could hold back. And he has a little half send there on Randall Hayward. He knows if he can get past Hayward here, this might be a chance. Will he cut to the inside, or he's going to try and drag him, I reckon, to the start-finish line? But it's all.
I'll tell you what, Andrew.
Here, can he get the move
Do you reckon
done?
he's on a fast lap? He might set the fastest lap here.
Well, that is a good point. That's a very good point. It's going to be a sprint to the line here to see, is it going to be Williams going 2-0 up, or will it be Thrustmaster making it 1-all? Thrustmaster are going to win the race 1-2, but who's going to take the fastest lap? That's going to be the key component. Over the line we go, and Nico Rublar looks like he's held on to the position, and I think Nico Rublar has got, yes, he's got past Salazar. So it's Thrustmaster anyway. They take the race victory, and it's 1-all, Chris. Will go into a decider.
Well, that's just how close it was. Things changing on the last lap. We didn't know if there was going to be a fastest lap to throw into the mix as well, but it's 1-all. Thrustmaster with that fastest lap as well. There you can see the points at the bottom of your screen. So this first match is tied, and we go into a deciding race. There you can see confirmation of the results on your screen. Now the grid will be reversed off of that result, so going to the back of the field will be Karatza, and starting at the front of the field will be Inestrosa for Thrustmaster, but he will have Carlos Salazar just behind him. Then it will be Nico Rublar, Adam Saswillo, and then we'll go through the rest of the positions. We've got Pontus, who was 4th place, so he will start from 4th. Giorgio Mangano, who finished 3rd, he'll start from 6th place, and then we can see Hayward, who was 2nd, he'll go to 7th place. But it's going to be a 3rd race. It's going to be a deciding race, Andrew. What we've seen so far, it seems like we're going to have this one either decided off a fastest lap or by 1 position.
And that's just what we want. That's just what we want as neutrals here in the comms box for the first ever round of the new GTPlanet League. So here's your grid then for the 3rd and final race, the deciding race in this match between Williams Esports and Team Thrustmaster. I think what's really, really key here, Chris, is Angel Inestrosa. He's not had a good night so far. 2 races where he's fallen to the rear of the field. This is a great opportunity for him to get good points for his team. He can convert this pole position into at least you'd hope a podium position at the end of this 10-lap race.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. He just hasn't really been at the races, just had a bit of bad luck. But can he now turn his luck around and take the win for Thrustmaster and the match with it? This is it. This is the deciding race, and leading us is going to be Inestrosa for Thrustmaster as they come into turn 1. Salazar, the leading Williams Esports driver. So to our viewers, first of all, thanks for being with us. I hope you're able to enjoy the racing and keep an eye on the points. We'll do that for you as it goes on. The live points will be on the bottom left of your screen, and we'll get an update on that at the end of the first lap. But this is it. This is the decider to see who takes the match. It's Thrustmaster versus Williams. The Thrustmaster drivers in the black and red livery, and in the blue and white livery are the Williams drivers, as we come up to the left-hand hairpin for the first time of asking, and a little sniff up the inside there for Salazar. And is he going to draw alongside on the exit at the corner? He almost did, but it's going to be Inestrosa who holds on for now as they come out of the final turn. Through the left-hander we go. Nico Rublar getting close as well. He's in a fantastic position here. He is the danger man in this race. He was the winner of the first race, and Nico Rublar there in 3rd, trying to get into 2nd to make it a Thrustmaster 1-2. They're going to be 3 wide. Nico Rublar going down the pit lane almost as he comes through to take the lead. Is he on the brakes? Who's going to be the last of the late breakers? Oh, contact there between Nico Rublar and Inestrosa. Salazar's going to take the lead here. Here comes Adam Saswillo as well. They're still side by side as they come through the left-hander, and it's Salazar, Andrew, who leads.
Well, I think my brain's just overloaded. I'm not quite sure what on earth I've just seen. Oh, Saswillo's very wide there out of the right-hander, but great work by Carlos Salazar. He took this race by the scruff of the neck. He said straight away to Angel Inestrosa, I'm going to challenge you for the lead on lap 1. And Williams, well, look at that, 22 points to 14 according to the tracker there. This is a good chance now for Carlos Salazar. He needs a good couple of clean laps to start to pull away from the field, but look who's behind him. That's no mean feat when Nico Rublar, now in 2nd place, is going to be chasing the Portuguese driver down as we head on to lap number 3.
I think Randall Hayward in 5th place has got a lot of pressure on his shoulders now because he has to get past Mangano and Adam Saswillo here. Here is Randall Hayward, and he's in danger of falling back here. Trying to come down the inside there is Diego Pontis. Carazza is there in 7th place as they come through turn 1 for the 2nd time. And Randall Hayward's trying to go on the attack here. The American trying to get up the inside for 4th place. I think he's drawn alongside of Mangano, but Mangano will just hold on. So we'll get another update on the points for you, but with Thrustmaster drivers in 5th, 7th and 8th, that is bad news, and you can see Williams comfortably ahead at the moment. So Andrew, that tells me we're going to see a lot of overtaking here from Thrustmaster to try and draw themselves back into this one. Hayward, I'd say it's really down to him to start getting some positions made. We're staying with him for the time being. Carazza needs to get past Pontis, and Nico Rubelar, of course, has to try and chase and catch and pass Carlos Salazar out front.
It's a tie-breaking match. You've got to go for it, otherwise your night is over. On board now with Nico Rubelar in the slipstream. See Carlos Salazar moving down to the low side there. He'll try and protect the inside line. In fact, very low side, but not low side enough. Nico Rubelar's underneath him. Will he get it done on the brakes into turn 1? Of course. Yes, he does. And the Chilean leads here. That was a crucial move. And Carlos Salazar made it very difficult for him, Chris. But this is Nico Rubelar. This is what he does. A fantastic overtake there. He's now back in the lead, having already won 1 race earlier on this evening.
So with that overtake, we take a point away from Williams and we add 1 to Thrustmaster at the same time. So it goes from being 22 to 14 to 21 to 15. That's essentially what an overtake does. It's a 2-point swing. So if Hayward can make a couple of places in 5th place, it will change things dramatically. But with Williams in 2nd, 3rd and 4th, it is very difficult here for Thrustmaster at the moment. Rubelar needs some help from his teammates. Hayward, the American, is the one that can do that at the moment as we now come round to complete lap number 4. Here's a replay of that move. Of course, was pretty much down by the pit wall, Nico Rubelar, and then had to try and get the thing stopped in time, and just about did to get past Carlos Salazar and puts himself into the race lead. And now we are back live, and Salazar is trying to repay the favour on Nico Rubelar, but hasn't been able to do it just yet. Saswillo, crucially as well, Andrew, has set the fastest lap for Team Williams. So if we are tied on points, it will be Williams who will take the win, with Saswillo having the fastest lap at the moment.
Yeah, 6 points the advantage for Williams. It's looking hard at the moment for Thrustmaster to pull this one back. Here's Randall Hayward, 5th place on the road at the moment, with Giorgio Mangano just ahead of him. Giorgio Mangano having a fairly quiet race so far. That's, I think, maybe a bit deliberate, just marking the back of Adam Saswillo's car now, because those 3 Williams cars in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, very nice position at the moment, working together now, working better than perhaps they did in race number 2, Chris. At the moment, Randall Hayward just doesn't seem to be able to make any impression there on breaking that trio up.
No, just not able to do it so far. Of course, at the back of the field, Carazza and Inestrosa still could make a bit of an impact here. If they can drop Diego Pontis down to 8th place, then that would change the points quite heavily as well. So Carazza here has to try and start that chain of events by getting past Pontis, but Inestrosa just not having a good run of things. He's off the back of the field at the moment, so it's this 2nd through to 5th battle where things are all kicking off, really. Here we can see Carazza there trying to get up the inside of Pontis. Pontis is going to have to defend. Carazza trying to come down the outside now to get into 6th place, but not quite able to do it. If Carazza can get past and then catch Hayward, his teammate, he might be able to have a go at those Williams drivers in 2nd, 3rd and 4th place, but putting up a stern defence is Pontis in 6th at the moment.
Yeah, this is again really good stuff from Pontis, because on some levels it may look like he's not performing at the same levels as the other drivers. I'd disagree with that personally. I think he's doing a very important job for Williams Esports tonight. He's being the frustrator. He's not allowing Thrustmaster's drivers to, get on with their races. He's compromising their races, and ultimately that's paying off the team. But side by side now, very similar to the move that we saw Rublar do a few laps ago, and there goes Karatza up the inside of Diego Pontes. So yes, that's a change of positions and points as Pontes is fighting back here. He's going to try and go back up the inside. That's a fantastic move, Chris. Really fought back hard there. This is great stuff from the Portuguese driver, and again, crucial moves and crucial time being lost on the part of the Thrustmaster drivers as the result of Pontes is very, very good defensive driving.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and that's why every single driver in each team has a part to play, because I think you summed it up perfectly. He's been so frustrating to race against Pontes. He's defending so well, and even if Karatza was to get past now, let's not forget the quality of this field. For him to close a gap down, which is probably at about 2 or 3 seconds now, is going to be near impossible with just 3 laps remaining. So Karatza in a real tough position here, and Williams at the moment looking very, very good. I think something would need to go heavily wrong now for Thrustmaster to take the points and the tiebreaker win here, because they are looking very good. No mistakes. Oh, big contact there from Karatza there. Just went into, anticipated Pontes to open up a bit more of a gap. We'll have to have a replay of that, but heavy contact, and it's Karatza who's come off the worst, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm surprised both drivers held on to that, maybe got a little bit lucky. It's a very wide entry into that turn one. There's different lines that you can take. Yeah, just a bit of confusion there between Karatza and Pontes. Let's have a look at it again. I think Pontes stays down low. Yes, he does. Karatza goes up high. I think just tries to sweep around the outside, and well, so it looks like to me that Pontes cut across the front of Karatza. I don't think there was any intent in there. That was the result. Yeah. Well, that's what resulted in that contact through turn one.
Yeah, Pontes was turning away from the corner, coming into it. So, a bit of confusion there. Racing incident in my eyes, and only done more damage to Karatza, unfortunately. Well, here are the drivers that are doing the business for Williams in terms of taking the big points home. It is, of course, like self, Salazar, Willow, Giorgio Mangano, you can see there in 4th place as well. Haywood, he's stayed there, Andrew, in 5th place with a gap as it is, but he just hasn't been able to close it down because the Williams drivers, no need for them to fight. They're just following each other around, although Salazar comes onto the grass. That's a corner that tightens, really, really tricky corner, that one, and that is why it catches everyone out, because you carry a lot of speed in, and then it tightens up on the exit. So it's a real hard one to get right, but this has opened up an opportunity now for Randall Haywood. There's only 1 lap to go, so you'd have to do a lot of overtaking to make any real difference to the points here, and he's going to go into 4th place past Carlos Salazar.
He is indeed, but I think that was, again, good teamwork from Williams drivers. Salazar recognised he was in a little bit of trouble there and made sure that he let Sassuolo and Mangano go and not lose any time, because yes, Haywood has got that move now. He's up into 4th place, but the gap is 0.8 of a second as they come over start-finish. They see the last lap board now. This has got to be a remarkable last lap for Randall Haywood. He can do it. Oh, he gets really out of shape there on the braking into turn 1, coming down off the banking, but he's got to do a lot of overtaking, as you say, Chris, and there's only just over half a lap to do so.
Yeah, it's going to be a real tough task. It'd have to be a mistake from Mangano or Sassuolo, and they're not really needing to fight at the moment. We have had some changes though. Well, it looks like at the back of the field that Pontes has dropped back behind Karatza and in a stroker as well. This tied things up, but Sassuolo has the fastest lap of the race. Well, I wonder if Randall Haywood can go at the fastest lap here and take the win for Thrustmaster. It's going to be tied on points. It's all going to come down to the fastest lap, or is it there? Because I saw a dive down the inside of Pontes. Not sure if he came up. Let's see, could Randall Haywood, could he do it? Could he get into fourth? Take the fastest lap and take the win for Thrustmaster. It's going to come down to the fastest lap. Nico Rubler is going to take the win, and not for the first time this evening. Who is going to take the overall win? Can anyone set a faster lap than Adam Thrustmaster? I don't think they can, and there was a change it looked like anyway. I think at the back of the field, it looked like Inestrosa dropped back to 8th, and Pontus went back up, and indeed he did. So you can see the points have now changed, and Williams take the match 2-1. Fantastic stuff. It went down to a tiebreaker, and on the final lap, well, fantastic driving up from Pontus, dropped back to 8th, then came back up to 7th place there, and that changed the points, although Williams would have won it anyway, as they had the fastest lap with Adam Siswillow. So there you can see confirmation of the results. Nico Rubelar from Giorgio Mangano, Adam Siswillow, Randall Haywood in 4th place, and it was Carlos Salazar up next along. Karatsa was 6th place, Pontus was 7th, and Inestrosa was 8th. Once again, Andrew, nothing in it. One position in it every single time. It's been 2 points. We've tied on points. It's been a fantastic first match.
I'm not quite sure what's just happened there. That was an absolutely remarkable finish to that match. But yeah, again, really key stuff there from Diego Pontes to get that moving right at the end. That was the crucial part that gave Williams the certainty of that victory. Very entertaining first match. I thought I think that's a good start for this new series, this new concept, and yeah, definitely proves the team aspect, because you look at the race victories for overall individual race victories. Nico Rubelar takes 2, Adriano Karatsa takes the other one. So Thrustmaster drivers first throughout the evening so far, but it's Williams who progress through or take the first win in the round robin stage of the GTPlanet League.
Yeah, of course, this is the round robin phase. They're all going to face off against each other, and Williams there just putting themselves at the top of the tree for now. But of course, we have got another match coming up this evening. Before we go into that next match and go into a short break, Andrew, driver of the match for you?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I'm going to put.
I think you've put you on the spot. Got to give it to, I think, Nico Rubelar, 2 wins out of 3, and with those races where he's got to come from the back of the field as well. For me, yeah, you know, the winner from World Tour Paris earlier in the year, he's my man of the match in that one. But a shame for Thrustmaster that they weren't able to take the victory here tonight. But I'm sure they'll be back next week.
Yes, they will. But of course, we have got another match coming up. It's going to be Lazarus versus Redline. Some real heavy hitters in this one. We're just going to have a short break before we do that. Thanks for being with us. Make sure you do subscribe, hit the notification buttons if you're not able to watch the next match, so you can come back and watch it again and be with us again next week. But don't go anywhere. Lazarus and Redline coming up very shortly. Welcome to the GTPlanet League. Thanks for being with us. My name's Chris McCarthy, and joining me in commentary, as ever this evening, is going to be Andrew Mather. This is our second match of the evening. We've got Lazarus versus Redline. If you missed our first match, it was Williams versus Thrustmaster, and it went to a decider, Williams winning in the end 2-1, having won that deciding race. But Andrew, fantastic stuff we had earlier from Williams and Thrustmaster. We've got some real heavy hitters between Lazarus and Redline. I think what we learned in that first match is that this format does work. It was absolutely fantastic. It came down to the last lap every time. The fastest lap sometimes decided who won the race. So in this one, I'm only expecting the same thing.
Absolutely. When I was looking at the lineups ahead of tonight's action, I'll be honest, I thought match one, it's like, okay, that's the starter, that's the aperitif. If that was the aperitif to the main course, this is going to be one hell of a main course that we're about to see in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Yeah, the Williams and Thrustmaster teams, absolutely brilliant tonight. All 8 drivers, I think, can be thoroughly proud of the show that they put on here for a historic first match in the GTPlanet League. And as you say, these two teams that we've got coming up now, Lazarus and Redline, 2 big names in the world of esports, and some really, really top drivers that we've got here that I just cannot wait to see how they're going to do. Let's have a look at the Lazarus team first. Martin Grady is the first driver for Lazarus, one of the most experienced drivers in GT Sport, 3-time Academy finalist. Matthew Thomas, regular on the World Tour scene and successful on the World Tour scene as well. Florent Pagendet, another regular in the World Tour, 2-time finalist in 2018 and 19, and Lewis Bentley as well. That is a very, very strong team, Chris, from Team Lazarus. And yeah, one that I think is going to do well tonight.
It is, but they've got some serious competition. Wait till you see this one. Team Redline are not messing around. Check this driver line out. It's a fantastic one. Lars van Vark, know him from the world of karting. Fantastic driver in karting, and he's just about the same when it comes to GT. Then we've got Manu Rodri, Mick Hizao, of course, finally got his win at Salzburg. Fernando as well. We are almost ready to go racing. I'm sure you would have got an idea of the format from our first match, but if you didn't, we'll talk you through it. Mercedes AMG GT3 around Kyoto Driving Park, and Manu Rodri is going to lead us away. TRL Lightning trying to go up the inside as they come in towards turn number 1 for the first time. A fantastic track this. Was very glad to see Kyoto Driving Park on the lineup. The Mercedes AMG GT3, almost the go-to car for newcomers to Gran Turismo Sport. They didn't know they were going to be racing here or in these cars before we got going. So it's going to they haven't had much time to practice on this track. Now they were faced with the challenge of going into qualifying, which set the grid for this race. Manu Rodri was quickest in that. Mick Hizao was second. So you can see from the liveries of the cars, that's how you know which team each driver is racing for. How does it work? Well, they score points from where they finish. So you get 8 points for winning the race, and you get 1 point for finishing 8th in the race. And it's whoever has the most points at the end of the race that takes the overall race win. It's the best of 3 races. The grid for race 2 will be a reverse grid of the result of race 1. And if we go into a deciding race, which we did with Williams versus Thrustmaster, it will be the result of race 2. The grid will be reversed from that to give us the grid for that deciding race. So as you can see, the live points will be updated for you as we go along. And at the moment, Redline are leading 21-15, helped by the fact that we do have Manu Rodri and Mick Hizao out front. Third place then is Florent Pagendet for the Lazarus team. Then we've got Fernando for Redline. So first, second and fourth are the Redline drivers at the moment, Andrew, as they come now down through the long left-hand hairpin for the first time. Long lap this one, plenty of places to overtake on, so this is going to be a cracker.
It is. I mean, this is kind of the perfect car for this circuit because it's got elements of everything. You've got some long straights, you've got some sweeping bends, you've got some tight and twisty stuff where traction is always key. And as you say, this is a very good car for beginners. None of these drivers are beginners, of course. The all-rounder in Group 3. the Mercedes AMG. And looks at this early stage as the teams are just trying to feel each other out at the moment. TRL clearly have had a very good qualifying with first, second, and fourth. But Yomas 74 on Pagende at the moment, he's just sticking it in there. He's the fly in the ointment of Team Redline at the moment. It looks like it's just losing a bit of pace at the moment. Mike Isal starting to pull away in second place and seemingly pushing Manu Rodriguez along with him. A good teamwork at the end of lap 1 here by the Team Redline drivers.
Yeah, if we tie on points, by the way, it goes down to the fastest lap. So what did we learn from the first match in Williams versus Thrustmaster? If you're out front or even at the back with your teammate, tow each other along and get a fastest lap in the bank so you have it for later on. Another thing we did learn is every position counts. It was the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th that almost decided the entire match in the deciding third race in the Williams versus Thrustmaster battle. It was fantastic. Everyone has a part to play. If you're in 6th and you have if you're in 6th and a Redline driver and you have 2 of the Lazarus drivers behind, if you can do a good job at defending and keeping them behind, you are doing a fantastic job for your team. You're scoring value points and you're helping win the overall race. So that's some of the real things that we learn. But I'd say what we've learned in this opening couple of laps, Andrew, is that Redline are going to be very, very tough to beat in the GTPlanet League with the lineup that they have. That's being demonstrated early. But here's Lewis Bentley. He has been on some of the World Tour events. Fernando is ahead of him at the moment. Then we've got Yomas, Florent Pagenet, of course. He's been at on the FIA GT World Tour events. Of course, we know Mick Hizal took the win at Salzburg finally. Manu Rodri, well, he is a driver that if we do talking of FIA racing is going to have a big result very, very soon. But this is the GTPlanet League, and all of those guys that you watch there have come here to racing something a little bit different. It's a team racing, and they absolutely love it. So do we. We hope you do too. Use the hashtag GTPlanet League. Get your comments in, subscribe, hit that like button, hit the notifications. Never miss a race, because for the next few weeks we're going to be facing all the teams are going to be going head to head, and it's going to end up in a big championship race right at the end. So but Andrew, in the early stages of this, one thing we can say is that all the drivers very, very evenly match as expected. It's no one's really making any ground on each other, nor are they really overtaking each other, and a big part of that is because Manu Rodri and Mick Hizal are just working together.
Yeah, they're working very well together at the moment. I think the gap's probably about a second back to Florent Pagenet behind. They'll just keep doing that, keep doing their job. That's all they can do at the moment, retain those first and second positions. I tell you who's in that awkward position at the moment of maybe going on the attack but also having to defend. Fernando, there in 4th place. He's the key guy at the moment for Team Redline, because if you can hold that position, keep those 3 drivers from Team Lazarus behind, he's doing a very, very nice job indeed. But the temptation will be to go for that move, 3rd place on Pagenet, to give it a 1-2-3 to Redline. And if he pulls it off, brilliant, that's fantastic for Team Redline. But if he messes it up and opens the door, just to say, Lewis Bentley just behind him at the moment, Matthew Thomas and Martin Grady all in there. Quite quickly, as we saw in match number 3 of Williams versus Thrustmaster, that 6-point gap that Team Redline have got at this precise moment can change very, very quickly.
Yes, it can indeed. Well, Lewis Bentley there in 5th and Matt Thomas in 6th. They really need to get past Fernando here. If they drop him back a couple of places, he's going to lose a good amount of points for the Redline team. And even though they're well, there we go. Fernando definitely feeling a little bit of pressure here. Oh dear, Lewis Bentley has got himself a penalty. You can only assume, given that it's a 1-second penalty, that might be for track limits. It looks like Lars van Bark also has a penalty as well, a little bit further down the field. There is Martin Grady. He is in 7th place at the moment. So this might not be the worst thing for Lazarus, because if Lewis Bentley, with that penalty, will probably only drop behind Matthew Thomas. And behind, well, Grady, the pressure almost off him now, because Lars van Vark has got a penalty as well. We'll get the points constantly updated for you. They will be live on your screen just below the positions. Oh, and here we go, battle for third going on. Well, Jomis has decided to go on the attack, or is he on the defence, because Fernando's trying to go around the outside to take third place, and Fernando is indeed into third place, so it is impossible for Lazarus to win with the situation as it is. Lewis Bentley has now decided to go past Jomis and try and be the driver to lead the attack for Lazarus, but this is a real bad situation for Lazarus now. They're in an impossible situation to win, and Redline out front just clearing off first, second and third now.
That was fantastic from Fernando. I think he'd almost lulled Team Lazarus into a false sense of security that he wasn't going to make the move. He was going to be happy to control it there in fourth place and just keep that position. And he just went, no, I'm going to take third. I'm going to take off this race. Now you see it. Team Redline, 1, 2, 3. Yes, Lars van Vark is in 8th place, but that's not mattering at the moment. 8-point lead for Redline now, and Lazarus have really got to do something very, very quick here on lap 4. We're past halfway of the race now. If they're going to get anything out of this match, or will they start to look at this in terms of the long game? Because at the moment, on the reverse grid for race 2, Team Redline are going to be looking very good. They won't have pole, but they'll have 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th.
That is a very good point. I think they could just sit in behind Fernando here and just kind of almost follow him a bit, just for a few laps, just eye out where Redline may be making the time on them at the moment. Out front, Manu Rodri, TRL Lightning, because now, of course, will finish in that order. I did not see them having any reason to swap places. There's no need to. They're going to win the race at the moment, 22 to 14 points. That will put them 1-0 up in the match. Best of 3, of course. We'll have a second race after this and a third if we need to. But Lewis Bentley there is carrying that second penalty, which he'll get rid of over the next couple of laps, I'm sure. Well, they need to at least mount some sort of challenge at some point here, because Fernando is there in third, and he's got a Lazarus queue behind him, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. This is not what Lazarus would have had in mind at all, Andrew, to be in this situation in the first race.
No, Team Redline have really stepped things up here in the first match, or the first race of their first match of the GTPlanet League. I think you're right. Lazarus probably didn't expect this kind of drubbing this early on, and they're going to have to pick themselves up very, very quickly in race number 2. They're going to avoid a whitewash defeat. Oh, Lewis Bentley was a little bit loose there over the curb. He's definitely pushing very hard. They're definitely trying the Lazarus drivers, but at the moment, Fernando, again, the key driver at the moment for me in Team Redline, controlling the pace. 3 seconds is the gap between him and Mick Gazelle up the road, and that he won't mind that at the moment. He won't mind that at all, because again, what he's doing, kind of similar to how we saw with Team Williams and Diego Pontes in the previous match, he's just keeping that gap. He's protecting his team leaders at the moment, up there in first and second, and doing a perfect job for Team Redline and keeping this 8-point lead in check as we are halfway round the penultimate lap of the race. It's looking very, very good. We're back with the leaders here. Here is Manu Rodriguez just ahead of Mick Gazelle. The gap is 1.4 seconds. And they're just looking very calm, Chris. Looking very calm, very controlled, having a very good start to their racing this evening.
Well, I can tell you, Williams will be watching this with a lot of interest. Of course, we're in the round robin phase of the league. It's going to be 3 weeks of that before we get into the knockout stages. So they are all going to face up against each other. For Williams, we had Giorgio Mangano, Adam Soswillo, Carlos Salazar, Diego Pontes. Now, they won earlier against Thrustmaster with Introza, Karatza, Rubelar and Hayward. And they're going to be watching this with interest, that's for sure. And they'll be looking at the Redline team, thinking they are probably the ones to beat now. They have come and set a huge marker here in this first race. They've put a message out to the rest of the teams in the league to say, come and beat us, because at the moment they are not getting beaten by the Lazarus drivers, who are finding it very, very difficult to keep up with the pace of Manu Rodri. We've got Mick Izal in second, who has dropped back.
Saying that the gap's gone down quite
I'm not too
dramatically.
sure why that is. I don't know if he's trying to give Fernando a bit of a tow here, or because they don't have to save fuel, by the way. There's no fuel saving, no tyre wear, so it's 100% go for it, which I personally really like. All the way, they are short races. There's no point in putting the tyre wear or fuel in. Just give it everything you have, because the last lap can be really crucial. And I don't know if Izal's dropping back to give Fernando a little bit of a tow here, but either way, it's theirs to lose, isn't it now, Andrew, for Team Redline? Something would have to go horribly wrong. Being first, second, and third, it's impossible for the other team to win. So it's fantastic stuff, and I guess we can now look to the next race, as we are only just a few corners away from finishing this first race off.
We are indeed. Lewis Bentley has served his 1 second penalty. Also looks like Lars van Laak has taken that opportunity of Bentley being off the pace to take second place. So the lead is now 10 points for Redline. Oh, that's an error from Matthew Thomas, and he's going to lose position there and spin out into the wall. Not good news again for Team Lazarus. That's going to further extend the lead again. That's another position for Lars van Laak. But over start finish, seeing the checkered flag, a brilliant race from Mano Rodriguez. He takes the win, and it's the 1-2-3 for Team Redline, with Mick Izal there in second and Fernando in third. Well, an absolute drubbing there for Team Lazarus, Team Redline, as I think a few penalties are being served at the end there.
Well, look at the results. What did Lazarus do? They dropped themselves back to give them first, second, third, and fourth on the grid.
Okay.
And it's what they've done. So here is the result. Manu Rodri took the win. Second place was Mick Izal. Fernando was third. That was more than enough points. As you can see, Redline win the race with 25 points to Lazarus. It's 11th. Now, there is no points carryover. It's 1-0. All the points get taken back away again. We go back to nought for the next race, but it is 1-0 to Redline as we go into the second race. And it looks like Lazarus have just dropped themselves back to put themselves first, second, third on the grid. You can see, I don't think Thomas intentionally spun to make it look like he wasn't trying to do that, but he has given himself pole by spinning, which is a weird thing to say, isn't it? Lewis Bentley's going to start second. Tidgley will be third. They're going to try and work together, Andrew, and try and pull themselves back into this match, because at the moment, Redline are 1-0 up and are one race away from taking the match.
They are indeed, as you say, very interesting stuff from Lazarus. We'll see if it works. You know, they've got one chance to do so in this second match, or second race of this first match for both these teams today. But for me, the key move there, Fernando going for third place, getting that third place, that was the point at which, you know, Team Redline completely checked out in that race. And that, I think, is a good sign for them, that they've got drivers who not only have pace, but can make the moves stick, and they've got good racecraft here around Kyoto this evening.
Well, what they're going to try and do, it seems, is try and get a few of the couple of the Lazarus drivers, of course, Matt Thomas, Lewis Bentley at the front, see if they can let them get away. And then the likes of Martin Grady and Florent Pagenet will probably try and defend and back up the Redline drivers to give the top two a gap, let them get away, score valuable points. If you finish first and second in a race, it is very, very difficult for the rest, the other team, to win. But I believe that is what Lazarus have done. I think it's their best strategy, isn't it, Andrew? It's the best thing that they can do, drop back and give themselves the best possible chance at leveling this up. Yeah,
it was very, very clear early on in that race they weren't going to pull that one back. I mean, I know we saw Thrustmaster do a good job in terms of equaling the points up in their third race against Williams, but that was like a constantly very tight race across the whole field. That became very spread out very, very early on, as soon as you saw Rodriguez and Izal pulling out that lead, even before Fernando had made that move for third place. I am hearing that Martin Grady did have penalties, though, at the end of that race, so that may have been why that he... He had pedal issues. That's what. Sorry, I'm just hearing that in my ears. That's different to penalties. Yeah, so pedal issues, not unlike a certain Mr. Verstappen
His pedals
earlier
broke.
in the year. But yeah, so pedal issues there for Martin Grady. He's getting those fixed at the moment. I'm hearing in my ear. So more drama for Team Lazarus. It's not been their night so far.
I think Martin Grady should just get his controller out, go old school. Why not? That's how I do it. That's how I do it. And look where I am. Now we've had our first look at all the teams, Andrew. I think this is a good chance actually for us while that's happening to assess, the GTPlanet League drivers, the teams. We've got Lazarus, Redline, Williams, and Thrustmaster. We've had our first look at all of them now. Of course, Williams beat Thrustmaster earlier, 2-1. Redline lead this one 1-0. This is a competition. It's going to come down to a big championship race at the end. We're in the round robin phase at the moment, first of 3 weeks of that, where they'll all face off each other. What do you think? What's your overall thoughts of the league and the standards of teams and drivers so far?
I mean, the drivers that we've got here are all, really top guys. You only have to look at the entry list, as I'm just glancing down here, and how many times, World Tours mentioned, World finalists in Nations Cup and Manufacturer Series. It's a given. All the drivers, all competing with these top teams. You have to be good. What's impressed me tonight, I think the teamwork that we saw with both Williams and Thrustmaster, that was a very, very evenly contested match. As we said, in terms of individual race victories, it was actually 3-0 for Thrustmaster, but that showed how even their 4 drivers were across the field. We saw at least one race decided by fastest lap, and it was never sure as to which of those 3 races went on. It's a little bit difficult for Team Lazarus to see where they rank at the moment, because after that first race where they were absolutely dominated by Team Redline, you could say that they're not the team that's in form at the moment. But again, you look at their lineup, you look at who they've got in their team. Those are 4 top drivers there who, have the capability of bouncing back here, and they've got a chance to do so straight away in this second race of the night for them.
Well, there we go. That's a full roundup of who we have so far. That is Andrew's thoughts. What do you think? Hashtag GTP League. Let us know what you are thinking ahead of this one. Can Lazarus pull this back 1-0? Leave your comments. Let us know. Will they get themselves back in the match and into a deciding race? They have put themselves intentionally at the front of the grid this one, and it's going to be Lewis Bentley from Matthew Thomas out front. Away we go. Matthew Thomas gets the better start. I wouldn't be surprised if Lewis Bentley allows him through. In fact, Lewis Bentley just got a little bit of a better run in the later stages of that start-finish straight, and he is going to lead us. So it is Lazarus 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the moment. Lars van Vark leading the charge for Team Redline at this stage. They did this on purpose because there's no points carryover. It is 1-0 to Redline. That is it. And now we have the exact same situation as we had before in terms of points. At the moment, Lazarus are taking the optimal amount of points they can with first, second, third, and fourth. And in the background, do we have teammates running into each other? We certainly had someone off, and it was Lars van Vark. So, he was last of the Redline drivers, and he is dropped to the back of the field with a mistake there. And it looks like we had Yomus there. I think that was Florent Paginet with a mistake as well. He ran wide, and that has allowed Nick Hizao, of all people, to get into 4th place. And who is trying to defend in 3rd? It is Martin Grady with potentially broken pedals still. So Grady there, if he goes straight on in a braking zone, we know exactly what has happened.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this on a replay. And it looked like, it was contact between teammates as Lars van Laak was forced out wide there by Fernando, and then into the wall he went. And, I was just saying, good. We didn't really see the teamwork of Team Redline tested in the first race because they were that far out ahead. But that wasn't particularly good teamwork there as Van Laak, who's standing in tonight for Baptiste Beauvoir, who was due to be here. And, he's unfortunately been unceremoniously relegated to the bottom of the field now.
Well, he's at the back, but main man on the charge for Redline is TRL Lightning. Lewis Bentley and Matt Thomas. Oh, we've got a spinner. Now that was Manu Rodri who got all out of shape there, and Manu Rodri has gone round, so it's all going wrong for Redline, and the tactics of Lazarus to put themselves on the front 2 rows of the grid is working. Manu Rodri has taken a spin coming through that left-hander as we go downhill. It's a tricky corner that. He just got a rear wheel on the grass on the exit, and it's spun him round. And Manu Rodri, all he can really do now is try and sit the fastest lap, and that would give his team the win if we tie on points. I think they're having a look at a replay. But on board with Manu Rodri, down to the right, you have to brake, then get to the left, take the turn. Maybe took a little bit too much speed. Oh, that's very unlucky. I'd say he hardly had a wheel on the grass there, and I'd do sympathise with Manu Rodri on that one. But this not good at the moment for Redline, is it at all, Andrew?
No, it's not. I think he also made a little bit of contact with Martin Grady on Grady's rear bumper there. It's a change between the 2 drivers from the Lazarus team. Looks like it's Lewis Bentley and Matthew Thomas switching positions there. So Thomas now into the lead of this one. Is this a tactic? Is this to try and quell the speed of Mick Hizal at the moment? Because he's there in 3rd place. Florent Pagendet is still very close behind as well in 4th. 12-point lead at the moment for Lazarus over Redline in this 2nd race of their 1st match in the GTPlanet League in the round-robin stage. And it's the top 4 now, very much so, Chris, pulling away from Martin Grady there in 5th place. And down the inside goes Hizal. This contact there with Matthew Thomas. Lewis Bentley back into the lead, but that was a big, bold move by Mick Hizal there, and, well, it didn't really pay off.
That was an unusual mistake from Mick Hizal here. Just got his braking all wrong, and there was nothing he could do but go straight into the side there of Matthew Thomas. Oh, and he's made another mistake. Oh, drops a wheel on the grass there, and it has spun him into the path of Grady. He's lucky to still be in a straight line after that. If Grady wasn't where he would, Hizal would be facing the wrong way and back with Manu Rodri. But, Redline. This, I think you summed it up a lap ago, Andrew. This is the first time their team tactics are being tested, and it's not going well for them at the moment. I think Lazarus, they may not have had the better of the speed in that first race, but one thing we can say, they got their tactics spot on for this one.
Yeah, but the speed of the Redline drivers is still going to be a factor in this one here. We're on board with TRL Perry, on board with Fernando. That's Martin Grady directly ahead of it. You see the damage on the rear bumper of Martin Grady's Mercedes AMG Group 3, and he has a little moment there, kicks up a bit of dirt. Mick Hizal also trying to challenge Thomas for 3rd place. Not over yet for Lazarus and Redline.
Matthew Thomas is doing a fantastic job here, defending Mick Hizal, and he's just allowing Lewis Bentley and Florent Pagendet to escape here. And look, this is exactly what he needs to do. Matthew Thomas, defending from 3rd, is the best thing he can do for his team, and that is just how this format works, why it is so brilliant. He is the cork in the bottle at the moment, and it's backing everyone up. It's keeping Martin Grady in there as well in 5th place. It's definitely a tactic that is working for them so far, although Hizal's going to try and go around the outside. That's not going to work. Meanwhile, Lewis Bentley and Florent Pagendet escape, but Matthew Thomas is going to have to do this for another 3 laps at the end of this one, so it's going to be a real tough task. Martin Grady trying to get up the inside for 4th place there. There are 2 leaders. They'll just follow each other around, but in the background, we've got Fernando there trying to get up the inside of Grady, and it looks like he's done it. So Fernando up to 5th place. Slowly, Redline are going to be clawing back some points here. At the moment, with Lazarus 1st, 2nd and 3rd, it's impossible to win this race. As you can see, 24 points to 12. But Grady and Matthew Thomas, they're doing such a good job here, Andrew, aren't they, at frustrating the Redline team.
Yeah, they're doing absolutely the right thing at the moment. They just need to be a little bit careful, though, because, we're on lap 3. We've not gone past the halfway point there. Van Lark and Manu Rodriguez aren't that far behind, and they could start closing. And if all of a sudden you've got 6 cars fighting over one piece of track going on to the last lap, that 14, it sounds ridiculous, the 14-point lead, could disappear very, very quickly if you see Thomas and Grady end up slipping to the back of the field. At the moment, they're playing this perfectly. They're letting Lewis Bentley and Florian Pagenaud get that lead. 2.3 seconds is now the lead between second and third place, and continuing to frustrate Mick Hazel. Mick Hazel's going to try and go round the outside again into the... Oh, that's a very brave move from Hazel. If he can hold on to that, that would be a remarkable overtake. Still side by side as they come down the straight. The next corner is a right-hander. It looks like Hazel's going to have it even before then. Yes, it is. Sweeping across the front, but no, Thomas fights back up the inside. Brilliant stuff. Fantastic there from Matthew Thomas on the brakes. Gets right past Mick Hazel, and that will feel very, very good in the Team Lazarus camp. It's still Matthew Thomas there in third, and Mick Hazel back down to fourth.
Fantastic driving from Matthew Thomas. By the way, I just had a look at the times there. Manu Rodri has set the fastest lap, and you'll see on the graphic, the track map graphic to the top right, he is closing. I don't know if he's closing at a quick enough rate to get involved in this, but he set the fastest lap. What does that mean? Why is that important? If Lazarus and Redline are tied on points at the end of this race, then if Rodri still has the fastest lap, the win will go to Redline because of that. It's the fastest lap, which plays a factor. But we're side by side. We'll get away from that for now because Lightning is side by side once again with Matthew Thomas round the right hander. It's going to be on the outside, which will give him the inside now for the left hand hairpin. And Thomas, he's got Fernando coming down the inside as well. And Hazel is through cleanly that time. And now Thomas is going to have to deal with Fernando. But the work has been done there from Thomas. It's a gap of around 3 seconds now for Hazel to try and catch to the two leaders who will not be fighting because they are both Lazarus drivers. But I think although Matthew Thomas has now been passed, his work is done.
Yeah, it was a really brave defence from Matthew Thomas, but as I say, it's the crucial thing. There's a 3 second or so gap now between Mick Hazel and Florian Pagenaud up ahead of him, and with less than 2 laps to go now remaining in this race, it's going to be even for Mick Hazel. Very, very difficult to get that time back and catch back up to first and second. This is where the race will be now. 10 points is the lead now for Lazarus over Redline. Oh, was that Fernando touching the wall there?
Yeah. Pushing
very, very hard indeed. Fernando's got to make the move now. He's got to get past Matthew Thomas as well, because that would take it down to an 8-point gap. Then you're looking further back to Lars van Laak. I think he's got to make some moves as well. He's got to try and get onto the back of Martin Grady. And if he can get past Grady and get past Thomas as well, then you start to see this one closing up. But that's a lot of things to happen with not a lot of time remaining in this race for them to happen in.
Yeah, that's very true. And well, if you're enjoying this race as much as we are, click that like button, subscribe, because it's going to be another 5 weeks of it. Hit the notification button, never miss a race in the GTPlanet League. I hope you're enjoying it as much as myself and Andrew are. We're going to keep you updated with the points as we go along in every single race. This match at the moment is going to be tied, and we're going to once again this evening go into a decider, just like we did with Williams and Thrustmaster. On that occasion, Williams took the win, but only by 2 points, so only by 1 position effectively. It was extremely, extremely close. But in this one, I wonder if we're going to have a similar situation. Of course, the grid for race 3, which it looks like we're going to be going into, it will be a reverse of the result of this race. So Manu Rodri will start from pole, Lars van Laak will start from second, Martin Grady third, and so on. But there is still a lap to go. It's a long lap, Kyoto driving park, and we've got 1 more of it to go. And as Andrew said, if Fernando in 5th can get past Matthew Thomas, if Lars van Laak can get past Tidgney and Matthew Thomas, we start to see a potential of a swing in Redline's favour. But as Andrew said, that's a lot of things to happen. And we are now going on to the final lap. Let's see what Redline can do. Can they try and claw back some points and take the match overall in this race? Or can Lazarus hold on and take us into a decider?
Tell you what else is key as well, Chris. Manu Rodriguez, we saw he was very, very quick in qualifying early on and led and won the first race. And a great scrap there with Mick Hazel as they worked together to pull themselves away from the rest of the field. He's going to have pole position for race number 3. It's going to be very hard for any of these drivers to catch him. based on the pace that we saw from him earlier. Got to say though, Matthew Thomas, I've been massively impressed with over the course of this race. We saw him doing some great defensive work, getting that gap opened up between first and second, the two drivers up at the front of the field, and Mick Hizal and the rest of the Redline drivers. He's kept pretty much on the back of Mick Hizal throughout the course of this race, still there in fourth place, just giving Mick Hizal something to think about, and that's going to give him a lot of confidence to go into the final race just after this checkered flag that we're going to see in a moment.
Yeah, I remember meeting Matt Thomas at Nürburgring last year, the very first World Tour event. Very calculated driver is Matthew Thomas, and I think that's been shown tonight, and I think this format almost lends itself to his style of driving and racing very well. As Mick Hizal's trying to let Matthew Thomas go by, he wants to drop back and get himself on pole position, so Redline have basically conceded this race, and Mick Hizal wants to start from pole, so he's now starting to drop down. This is very interesting stuff. For a second there, Matt Thomas did not know what to do, so that has allowed Martin Brady to go back. But, well, this is interesting, isn't it? It's going to mean Manu Rodri and TRL Lightning will be first and second, just like we had in the first race. And how damaging were those two as a pair? Lars van Valk was still trying to get past Matthew Thomas and has done, but out front, Lewis Bentley and Jonas Florent Pagenet are going to be first and second. And it's that is going to be the key damage, and it's going to tie up this match 1-1. Lazarus bring themselves back into contention. Their tactic of putting themselves first, second, third and fourth on the grid has worked. Fantastic driving from Lewis Bentley, brilliant team partnership from Florent Pagenet to follow him round. Then we had Fernando finishing in third place, the highest of the Redline drivers. Brady was fourth place. Then we had Lars van Valk, who did get by Matt Thomas. I think Matt Thomas wanted to drop back though to keep himself in touch with Lightning and Manu Rodri, Mick Hizal, Manu Rodriguez. Manu Rodriguez with an earlier spin finished last, but will now be on pole position for the deciding race. And starting in second will be Mick Hizal. Once again, tactics coming into play. We didn't really see that much in the first matchup between Williams and Thrustmaster, Andrew, but we've seen them both times. Lazarus did it in the first race, dropping back. Redline have done the same, conceded defeat early on. It's 1-1 now. We've got the deciding race, and Redline appear to have tried to get themselves set up for a 1-2 finish with Rodri and Lightning.
Interesting stuff indeed. Here we go then for the third and final race. And for the second time tonight, we see a match in the GTPlanet League go to a decider. Here we are at Kyoto Driving Park. Here is the grid then. At the moment, at the front, dominated by Team Redline. Manu Rodriguez has pole position, Mick Hizal second, Matthew Thomas third, and Lars van Laak from the Netherlands fourth. Martin Grady's had a solid night so far there. He starts fifth. Fernando in sixth. Florent Pagenet, the one Frenchman, on Team Lazarus in seventh, and Lewis Bentley eighth. Away we go then for the third and final race between Team Redline and Team Lazarus this evening. Good start from the Redline boys out front, and just as we saw in race one, very good start from Manu Rodriguez. He leads early on from Mick Hizal. Very good start indeed. Going through the first sweeping bends, nobody's made any key overtaking manoeuvres yet. Good start from Lars van Laak as well. He's up there in fourth place. So if things were to finish this way, which I very much doubt they will, it would be the match going to Team Redline. Very even start though, as it's already the Lazarus drivers, Chris, seemingly having a bit more pace at this stage of the race than they had in race one.
And look, Mick Hizal already defending. He's trying to back up Matthew Thomas here, trying to get Manu Rodri. He's trying to let him get a gap here as they come into the left-hander, and Mick Hizal doing a good job of that at the moment. There's a lot of pressure on Matthew Thomas's shoulders here. He has to try and get past Mick Hizal and try and get after Manu Rodri out front. So it's a real tough situation. Behind, we've got one of the Lazarus drivers off. I think it was Lewis Bentley or it was either Lewis Bentley or Martin Grady. They appear to be tripping over each other. They need to start working together, because this is pretty much the situation we had in the first race, and it was Redline who were able to secure that race very comfortably in the end. So Matthew Thomas, our third place driver here, he is the key driver for Lazarus. He can make himself the driver of the match here if he can go and get past Mick Hizal and disrupt the lead of Manu Rodri as well. But behind, his teammates need to start helping him out now, Andrew. They need to get a move on here, because there's no time to rest in these races. They're quite quick races, so you cannot afford to be waiting around at the start. You need to get a good start and start making progress as quickly as possible.
Indeed. Tell you what, I've been impressed by this driver on this first lap. Lars van Laak drafted in very late on here. A good record, a multiple time trial world record holder. But he won't have had as much prep into this event this evening as the other drivers. He, at the moment, he's the key driver for Team Redline, because he's holding those three drivers from Lazarus behind him at the moment. In fact, he's pulling away from them. This is great stuff from the Dutch driver. And if he could just hold onto the back of Fernando, his teammate just ahead of him, this could be a relatively easy win now for Team Redline. But just to say that, he runs a little bit wide, clearly pushing very, very hard there. Up about 0.7 of a second back to Martin Grady behind. And you're absolutely right, Chris. Those drivers from Team Lazarus have got to work together now. They've got to find a way of always very wide there was Van Laak, so he definitely is pushing very, very hard. The drivers from Team Lazarus, 6, 7, 8 at the moment, that's not good enough, and it doesn't matter what Thomas does at the front of the field. He could win this race, and it would all come to nothing. Team Redline would take the match, would take the win.
Yes, indeed. First, second, fourth, and fifth is a pretty impossible result to beat, and Redline basically conceded that second race once we got to the last lap and a half, and just set their minds on this final race. And you can see exactly why they have done it. It doesn't matter whether it's 2-1, 2-0, it just matters about getting that win at the end, and that is what Redline have done here. Fantastic effort from Lazarus to take us into a tiebreaker, but can they do anything now? As you said, Thomas, yes, he can win this race, but that wouldn't be enough at the moment. He really needs help from his teammates, who are 6th, 7th and 8th, Martin Grady, Lewis Bentley and Florent Pagenet. They really need to start trying to make some progress here. They're still behind Lars van Vaart, who is there in 5th place, but it just doesn't appear that they have the pace at the moment in these early stages. I'm not really too sure. And there we go, look, pushing too hard, Lewis Bentley goes off. And Florent Pagenet didn't actually take the opportunity to go through, but now Lewis Bentley allowing Florent Pagenet to go through to see if he can do anything without making some progress. But I just can't see this one going any other way at the moment. But this is the GTPlanet League. Anything can happen, and often has done. So we still have 4 more laps to go and a lot of racing to go. If you're enjoying what you're seeing as much as we are, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications as well, and you'll always be reminded when we are racing. It's going to be another 5 weeks of this, so the next 5 weeks we are going to be racing the league. We've got the round robin phase for the first 3, we've got the knockout events, the championship racing right at the end as well. Our 4 teams, Lazarus, Redline, Williams, Thrustmaster, Williams took a win earlier, 2-1, and in this one at the moment it's going to be Redline who take it. But Martin Grady now trying to get past Lars van Vaart, who's doing a good job at defending. And this is a frustrating situation, isn't it, Andrew, for Grady and the Lazarus team?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The frustrator in this case is Lars van Laak, doing a brilliant job, is the Dutchman. And again, that gap is going to start going out. You can see Fernando, the Spanish driver, out ahead. He's starting to pull away now. So even if Grady is able to get past Van Laak in the next few corners, he's not going to have much hope of closing in on Fernando, who's been on good form tonight. And Grady now goes down the inside of Van Laak. Can he get the move done? Can Pagenet try and get through as well? The Frenchman not too far behind, although on the curve there's a little bit of door-to-door contact. Pagenet might have a chance here as they go over the top of the hill down into the left-hander, the hairpin. Van Lark's still on the inside. Grady trying to find a way through. Pagenday's going to nip past Grady, and I think that's the right move. Pagenday, to me, looks like the driver of these four with the most pace at the moment. He's got the chance to get further down the road if he can get past Van Lark, who was a little bit wide coming out of that corner. But this is good stuff. This is really good stuff from Lars Van Lark, because he's booking this victory in at the moment for Team Redline, because it's still, as we come to, well, halfway through lap 3, it's still the case that Redline have a 12-point lead in this tiebreaker race.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff. This is match-winning stuff, this from Lars Van Vark. He's got 3 Lazarus drivers behind him, 3 of the 4, and he's managing to keep all 3 of them off. And that is a match-winning performance, whether you finish 5th or 1st. This is fantastic stuff, and this is why this format works, because all the way down to the back of the field, every battle is crucial. And Lars Van Vark doing this is helping Redline win this match. Out front, of course, Rodri, Lightning, doing the business, holding off Matthew Thomas in 3rd, Fernando sitting there as well. It's this battle, Lars Van Vark doing this, has broken the field into 2 halves, but his defending is just creating a gap which is going to be far too much for the likes of Pagenet, Lewis Bentley and Martin Brady to overcome if they can get by.
The positioning out on track of Van Lark is absolutely exemplary. He's just putting that doubt in Pagenet's mind with the half move that Pagenet went for a few corners ago. They had to pull out of it. Wasn't sure where Van Lark was going to go, and Van Lark shut the door on Pagenet. Here we go, down into one of the trickiest parts of this course, as Pagenet has a half little look again, and you see Van Lark just keeps giving him that opportunity, going, come on, if you think you can get through, go for the move. But just puts that down in Pagenet's mind. And again, you see Pagenet actually ends up losing out, dropping back from the rear bumper of the Team Redline driver. And again, just frustrating. This must be agonising for Pagenet, because they can see any remote chance of winning this match is just slipping away corner by corner.
Yeah, it's pretty much gone, because look at the gap. Van Vark is now 4 seconds, 4.2 seconds back from Fernando in 4th place. And that is the work that he has been able to do. Matthew Thomas, well, what can he do? He can win the race, but it's still not going to be good enough at the moment. And it looks like Mick Kizow's tactic of dropping down to the back of the field to start second behind Manu Rodri has worked. Manu Rodri, of course, took a spin in that second race. That is why he was at the back of the field. But Mick Kizow decided that he wanted to go to the back anyway. I wonder if that's going to be a tactic that we see repeated throughout the GTPlanet League as the weeks go on, of almost sacrificing your positions in second races. Happened more in this second match. It didn't actually happen at all in the first match. So I guess it really just depends on the situation at the time, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see it happen throughout the GTPlanet League. But through the left-hand hairpin we go. This is the penultimate lap. This is going to be a comfortable win for Redline at the moment. It is very, very difficult to see that changing with the gap that has been created by Lars Van Vark in 5th, defending successfully from Pagenet, Bentley, Grady, who's still unable to get by Andrew.
No, they can't get by the Dutchman. Pagenet has another half little look again, and exactly the same again. Van Lark fairly but firmly shuts the door in Pagenet's face there and keeps him behind, still riding in 5th place. 12-point lead still on the board for Redline. And it's also going to be frustrating for the drivers in 7th and 8th as well, Martin Grady and Lewis Bentley. There almost might be a bit of dissent in the ranks for Lazarus in a few moments' time, because it would be the case of, well, if Pagenet can't make the move, give somebody else a shot. At the moment, I think it's still down to Van Lark there. I don't think any of them would be able to get through. And now there's a bit of contact. It's almost getting like a touring car race. And finally, with a bit of pushing and shoving, Pagenet has got through. Bentley's going to go through as well, and I think if I'm Lars Van Mark, you almost take that as a compliment in a way, that the only way they've been able to get through is with a bit of rub in his racing.
Yeah, and well, he's going to fight back. He's going to try and get back. Oh, and he's giving it back to them. He's getting Lewis Bentley, and Bentley's gone round. Well, Lars Van Bark, he's going to slow up and allow Bentley to go back through. It was a complete mistake, I think. Just got it all wrong. We'll have a look at a replay, I'm sure, but that's a real shame, I think, because Lars Van Bark had driven so well. His work was done. He could have actually just dropped to the back of those three and sat in 8th place. He didn't really need to keep the fighting going up any longer with the gap he had created. But let's have a look then. Dives out, tries to have a look at the inside of Lewis Bentley. There's never going to be any space. Bentley, and enough. Bentley flooring it. It's enough to tip him round into a spin. Real shame that, but still fantastic defending from Van Vaart to create the situation that we are in as we are on now. The final lap of the race, Andrew.
We are indeed. 6 points is the lead for Redline. So even if Matthew Thomas was able to get past Mick Hizal and Manu Rodriguez, it still would not be enough to win. You've got to think that the defensive driving, the gap pulled out by Fernando over Lars van Laak and the rest of the Team Lazarus drivers, is going to be the key aspect that gives Redline the win here. But what a night this driver's had. Manu Rodri won the first race, had a spin in race 2, got pole position for race number 3. Is he going to take his second win, his second individual win in the GTPlanet League? Mick Hizal just behind him as well. He'll be quite happy, I think, just to see this one home. It's been another key component. It's been a fantastic night for Team Redline. He does have a half little look there on his teammate. Doesn't want to make any silly mistakes late on in this one. But last couple of corners to come here, Chris. It's been a fantastic display from Team Redline and a statement of intent to all the teams in this GTPlanet League season that they mean business and they've got a very strong lineup to perform it.
Yep, well, down the start finish straight we go for the final time, and in the tiebreaker, the match is going to go to Team Redline. Manu Rodri makes the way across the line. Mick Hizal will finish in second place. Matthew Thomas put up a valiant effort for Team Lazarus, but it was never ever going to be enough, unfortunately. He finishes third. Fernando in a solid fourth place. A huge gap then between fourth and fifth, all down to that man there, Lars Van Vaart, who created that with some fantastic defensive performances. So here is confirmation of the race 3 result. The match goes to Redline 2-1. Manu Rodri with his second win of the evening. It's another 1-2 for Rodri and Lightning. They are first and second. Then we had Matt Thomas, Fernando, Florent Pagenet, eventually getting past Lars Van Vaart, finishes fifth with Martin Grady sixth. Lewis Bentley, of course, he took a spin with contact Lars Van Vaart, who dropped behind, gave the place back to Lewis Bentley, finished eighth. His work was still done though, although he scored one more point. I think he earned his team overall a lot more than that with the defensive driving that he did, Andrew. But a fantastic match, another fantastic match, another one where we had to go to the decider, and it's Redline who take the win. So our winners this evening, Williams and Redline, they both put a point to their name in the standings.
And a really interesting evening in terms of two very different matches. You know, the first one was very tight throughout, was all, I think, a bit more about the teamwork. The second one, something that I don't think we've mentioned yet, the qualifying. How important was that qualifying from Team Redline to give them the emphasis and the opportunity to get the first win in? And yeah, we had that sandbagging a little bit, and some people may not like that, but I think the key aspect of it, as I say, Team Redline's pace tonight, very good, and that is a statement of intent to the other teams, not just Team Lazarus, who they've obviously matched up against tonight. As I say, Team Thrustmaster and Williams Esports will both be looking at and going, wow, that's going to take a big effort this season to beat Team Redline. But yeah, everybody, all the 8 drivers in that second match of the evening, as we said in the first match, all 8 drivers really at the top of their game, and some fantastic racing here on GTPlanet League.
Yeah, well, we did it in the first match, and we gave it to Nico Rublar on that occasion. But driver of the match this time, I know there's probably one name that's going to be very hard to look past, having taken 2 wins, isn't there?
Well, absolutely. Manu Rodriguez, 2 wins tonight, but he did have a spin in the second race, and I'd say over the consistency of the 3, very close between Mick Hizal and and Matthew Thomas, especially in that last race. Matthew Thomas was the only really driver to give Team Redline any kind of issues. I think on reflection, though, I think Manu Rodriguez has to take it. As you say, another driver with 2 victories tonight, same as Nico Rubelot in the first match as well. But very, very tight, very, very close, and very intriguing to see how those drivers will perform across the rest of the season in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, we've had our look at all 4 teams now, and just give us your view then overall of who do you think are the early favourites? You know, we had Redline win, we had Williams win, both very close though, both went into deciders. It's going to be interesting when we see Williams and Redline face off against each other. Would you call Redline the early favourites given the fashion that they won that deciding race in?
I think I would. As I say, going back to that qualifying pace, they've got a very, very strong 4 drivers that they've put out tonight. And let's not forget, Lars van Laak stepped in brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly, but was stepping in. And it'll be interesting to see when Baptiste Beauvoir comes back, maybe for next week, if he's able to make it. They've got drivers in reserve as well in the TRL camp who could be very, very crucial. I'd say they've got the strongest squad at the moment, but they're not unbeatable. We saw that race win go to Team Lazarus. They did take him to a decider tonight. So there is hope for the other teams in this series that they can give Team Redline some issues. And it's going to make for some enthralling racing over the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, that's our thoughts. Use the hashtag there at the bottom of your screen, GTP League. Let us know who are your drivers of the matches. Who is your driver of the evening? Which team do you think is going to win the league overall? There's still a long way to go. We've got the round robin, which is going to continue for the next couple of weeks. We're going to be back again next week for the next phase of that, where Lazarus, Redline, Williams, Thrustmaster will all be in action again. But for myself, Chris McCarthy and Andrew Mather tonight, that is all for this evening for the first week of the GTPlanet League. 6 o'clock UTC time, same time next week. Do be with us. But for now, everyone here at GTPlanet League, it is goodbye.